The question here is a lot of experts in AI don't share the same level of concern that you do about the dangers of AI.
Fools.
What
Famous last words. I'm really quite close to, I'm very close to the cutting edge in AI, and it scares the hell out of me. It's capable of vastly more than almost anyone knows, and the rate of improvement is exponential. This is extremely important. I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot. And nobody would suggest that we allow anyone to just build nuclear warheads if they want.
Honestly, legitimately concerned about this? Is like AI one of your main worries in regards to the future?
Yes, it's less of a worry than it used to be, mostly due to taking more of a fatalistic attitude.
So you used to have more hope, and you gave up some of it, and now you don't worry as much about AI. You're like, this is just what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, yes. Yes, but no, it's not necessarily bad. It's definitely going to be outside of human control.
Not necessarily bad, right?
Yeah, it's not necessarily bad. It's just outside of human control. Now, the thing that's going to be tricky here is that it's going to be very tempting to use AI as a weapon. It's going to be very tempting. In fact, it will be used as a weapon. So the on-ramp to serious AI, the danger is going to be more humans using it against each other, I think, most likely. That'll be the danger. Years ago, but it feels like we are the biological bootloader for AI, effectively. We are building it. And then we're building progressively greater intelligence. And the percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing. And eventually, we will represent a very small percentage of intelligence. But the AI is informed, strangely, by the human limbic system. It is, in large part, our id writ large.
How so?
Well, you mentioned all those things, the sort of primal drives.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the things that we like and hate and fear. They're all there on the internet. They're a projection of our limbic system. It's true.
No, it makes sense. And the thinking of it as thinking of corporations and just thinking of just human beings communicating online through these social media networks as some sort of an organism it's a cyborg. It's a combination. It's a combination of electronics and biology.
Yeah.
Does this
in some measure, like the success of these online systems is sort of a function of how much limbic resonance they're able to achieve with people. The more limbic resonance, the more engagement.
Whereas, like, one of the reasons why probably Instagram is more enticing than Twitter.
Limbic resonance.
Yeah, you get more images, more video.
Yes.
It's tweaking your system more.
Yes.
Do you worry about or wonder, in fact, about what the next step is? I mean, a lot of people didn't see Twitter coming, that, communicating with 140 characters or 280 now would be a thing that people would be interested in. Like, it's going to excel. It's going to become more connected to us, right?
Yes, things are getting more and more connected. They're, at this point, constrained by bandwidth. Our input-output is slow, particularly output. Output got worse with thumbs. We used to have input with 10 fingers, now we have thumbs. But images are also, they're a way of communicating at high bandwidth. I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years.
This seems
Nobody
like a scene
listened.
in a movie
Nobody
where
listened.
the robots are going to fucking take over and you're freaking me out. Nobody listened.
Nobody listened.
No one. Are people more inclined to listen today? It seems like an issue that's brought up more often over the last few years than it was maybe 5-10 years ago. It seemed like science fiction.
Maybe they will. So far, they haven't. Yes. Like if you can't beat it, join it. That's
Yeah.
So from a long-term existential standpoint, that's like the purpose of Neuralink, is to create a high bandwidth interface to the brain such that we can be symbiotic with AI. Because we have a bandwidth problem. You just can't communicate through your fingers. It's too slow.
And where's Neuralink at right now?
I think we'll have something interesting to announce in a few months. That's at least an order of magnitude better than anything else. Probably, I think better than probably anyone thinks is possible.
How much can you talk about that right now?
I don't want to jump the gun on that.
But what's like the ultimate? What's the idea behind it? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with it? Like, what would you like? Best case scenario.
I think best case scenario, we effectively merge with AI, where AI serves as a tertiary cognition layer, where we've got the limbic system, kind of the primitive brain essentially. You've got the cortex. So you're currently in a symbiotic relationship. Your cortex and limbic system are in a symbiotic relationship, and generally people like their cortex and they like their limbic system. I haven't met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete their cortex. Everybody seems to like both. And the cortex is mostly in service to the limbic system. People may think that the thinking part of themselves is in charge, but it's mostly their limbic system that's in charge. And the cortex is trying to make the limbic system happy. That's what most of that computing power is oriented towards. How can I make the limbic system happy? That's what it's trying to do. Now, if we have a third layer, which is the AI extension of yourself, that is also symbiotic. And there's enough bandwidth between the cortex and the AI extension of yourself such that the AI doesn't de facto separate, then that could be a good outcome. That could be quite a positive outcome for the future.
So instead of replacing us,
That your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. Most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, or the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself, that is your phone and computer, is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river, huge, high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem, data rate problem. If we solve the data rate problem, then I think we can hang on to human-machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit. Literally.
Pass that whiskey.
Basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe
Yeah.
because there is no job. Machine, robot is taking over.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
Okay.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not
things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it? And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary. Now, the output of goods and